Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest hails from Edmonton, Alberta. She is an award winning singer songwriter who has never shied away from making music outside the box. Her genre bending tendencies, powerful sound, and story driven songwriting has been described as some of the finest folk rock currently being made. That was by Amplify Music magazine, and it's drawn comparisons to the likes of Feist and Kathleen Edwards. Recently, she was named the Edmonton Public Library's inaugural musician in residence and was celebrated as part of the top 40 under 40 class of 2023 from Edify Lifestyle magazine. So, let's spill the tea with Mallory Chipman. Welcome, Mallory.
Thanks so much for having me, David.
Well, Mallory, that's your intro lends to some interesting questions that we're going to go down the rabbit hole with. So let's start off with Edmonton's musician in residence at the public libraries. This is the inaugural position for that. They didn't have one before. How did they decide, A, that they wanted a musician in residence, and B, how did they decide that Mallory Chipman should be the first one?
Well, it is a bit of a unique scenario that came out of the Junos, which were hosted in Edmonton last year. And until this, I didn't realize, but it is apparently tradition that the Junos host city is sort of left with a legacy project. And so the Junos host city received some funding for that. And then they consult with the Junos host committee from that local region as to what they think that funding should go towards. And ideally, it's something that's going to impact the community in an accessible way and enrich the arts scene there. And so the Junos host committee in Edmonton, put their heads together and I think had several ideas, but wound up distilling it down to, well, we'd love to see a musician in residence. And it wasn't necessarily going to be at the library. They talked to multiple different partners who could potentially collaborate on this. But because the public library is public and it's so accessible, there are multiple branches and it brings in folks of all ages and backgrounds. It really seemed like a perfect fit. And Edmonton's library has a bit of a unique resource called the Makerspace, which actually includes, amidst other things, recording studios in-house. So because of that, it also allowed us to facilitate specifically musical work there and do some recording with clients there. So it kind of is a great place for it infrastructurally and also a great community-minded organization. They put out the search looking for somebody who had experience, not only kind of boots on the ground as a musician, but also somebody who's worked with the community and in mentorship. And I have background sitting on various arts boards and councils, and also working in mentorship. I taught music at university for 8 years prior to this. So it seemed that I was a good fit and got the job. The rest is history.
You have a famous grandpa, Tommy Banks. Tell us about Tommy Banks and how he influenced your musical career.
Well, I mean, it's funny you say famous because it's so generational and regional, in that, in my community, definitely he was more well known for sure. And I'm never sure how well known he is elsewhere. I remember one time though hopping on a bus just outside of Disneyland, and I was with him, and someone said, "Hey, I used to watch you after school on TV." So there you go. Yeah, I was really close with my grandparents on that side of my family. He's passed now, and my grandma is living with Alzheimer's. She's in a home. So I'm speaking a bit in past tense here because their lives have changed a lot. But growing up, both of them were extremely musical. I mean, he was a full-time piano player and band leader, and made a career out of playing music. And I think like bottom line, when I think about why I maybe felt the confidence to pursue something like that, is because I saw an example of it working. And that's a huge privilege because I think so many folks, when they look at pursuing fine arts as a career, it's hard to take that leap of faith when you aren't seeing it modeled in front of you as something that's stable, something that could be reliable. Um, and so that was really just hugely inspiring in and of itself. But I remember vividly my grandpa saying to me, okay, well, if you do this, promise me you won't have a fallback plan. Because I had already started my whole spiel to him with, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. And he said, if you don't have a fallback plan, you won't fall back. And that is literally something I continue to tell myself probably about every week. Words of wisdom. And from then, he and I had the opportunity to collaborate a lot before he passed. And he played on my first record, and he hired me for gigs with him. And we played together with symphony orchestras and jazz orchestras, and it never got old, being able to share that with somebody you love and somebody in your family. It was a pretty special opportunity for sure.
You have a very interesting handle for your Instagram called at Paranormallery, which begs the question, why that handle? Why Paranormallery?
It's funny you ask because I'm constantly asking myself, should I just make it at Mallory Chipman, which would be probably so much easier. But I've been on the Instagram train since long before I was as aware of artist branding as I am now. And it feels kind of like, oh, I can't change it now, because it shares a little bit of a part of me. I love puns and wordplay, and my nickname is Mal. Most folks actually call me Mal. And so that MAL, I was thinking about when I was, early username days, what would be a username that's a play on words that includes that MAL. And of course, I'm a huge horror movie fan. And I love paranormal horror movies. The very first one I ever watched in grade 6 that really hit me to the genre was the original Poltergeist. And um, so of course I'm thinking, oh, paranormality. Went down the snowballing of, figuring that out, and it just stuck. But yeah, it's kind of a little, I guess, Easter egg where if you know me, you'll probably know I'm a horror buff, and then you'll get it. And otherwise, it might get some people scratching their heads, and that's
Well,
okay.
it certainly is unique, so no one's going to be copying it or
Hmm.
ever have anything close to it. So
True enough.
everyone will be able to find you at Paranormallery. Let's get into one of the songs that Mallory wrote. This song was released this year in February of 2024 on Tunnel Mountain Records. The song reflects on Mallory's early childhood and her memories of a woman who remains a strong influence in her life. Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Mallory Chipman and her song, Soft Shoe.
I always liked when you said, oh, sugar. Every time you got mad, 'cause then I knew I was always sweeter. My cheeks turned to cherries here and there. Roxy music coming through the speaker. When you asked me to dance, you told me, kid, you were born for theater. So don't worry, you'll catch on fast. And then we did the soft shoe under the moon, left until her bellies ache, till her faces turned blue. You said, my little girl, there's not a thing in this world that you can't do. And when I look back, it's an old time movie, and I was like Shirley dancing on kitchen floors. But these days you just see right through me, not even sure what you're looking for. Fingertips stained red with crab apples. black and white photographs they'll never tell. A half-empty scrapbook of our travels, days I thought that you'd remember well. Like when we did the soft shoe under the moon, left until her belly's ache, till her faces turned blue. You said, my little girl, there's nothing in this world that you can't do. And when I look back, it's an old-time movie, and I was like Shirley dancing on kitchen floors. But these days you just see right through me, not even sure what you're looking for in these blue eyes of mine. Haven't seen me before, maybe in a past life. And I'll never forget the day when your eyes welled up and you said my name. I just didn't know it then that it would never leave your lips again. I never thought that I'd be a stranger, but what did I know? A life full of memories is bound to age ya, and now they've got no place to go. But I remember doing soft shoe under the moon. You said, my little girl, there's not a thing in this whole world. And when I look back, it's an old-time movie. But these days you just see right through me.
That was Soft Shoe by Mallory Chipman. Mallory, you've talked about your grandfather. This song is about your grandmother. What's the inspiration behind writing this song?
So I wrote Soft Shoe one afternoon after I came home from visiting my grandma. She lives in a long-term care home for folks who live with Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's been a long journey of gradual forgetting or confusion to a point now where she can't even speak anymore. Like she's pretty far down the Alzheimer's path. And it's been really challenging to witness. And if anyone listening has had a loved one go through that, you know what I mean. And I, for the longest time, at least could get a sense that she recognized me still a little bit. Even if she didn't know my name, she knew I was familiar if I came in and visited. Um, and I knew that one day that likely wouldn't be the case anymore. And this song came after the first time I visited her, and I realized she didn't recognize me anymore. I could have kind of been anyone, and she still appreciated the company, of course. Um, but yeah, I had a good cry about it and just sort of had a lot of feelings come up around that because she was one of these people who really got me into music. And I named it Soft Shoe because she was a musical theater actress in her youth, and she used to always have me dance the soft shoe with her, which was this musical theater dance step. And anything, it could be jazz, it could be rock, it could be whatever came on the radio. She'd insist, okay, we're doing the soft shoe to this song. And, you know, these memories like that, or like the many trips we took together, the opportunities that we had to see live music together or just hang out in the backyard on a Saturday afternoon, drinking a Coke and having a popsicle or whatever. Everything from the most sort of significant to the most mundane. Now they feel like they're just mine, and for so long, memories with others feel shared. And I wrote this tune about that feeling and about that process of realizing, okay, now it's just me who will hold on to these. And that's sad. Like I think there's good reason to allow yourself to mourn in that moment. Um, but also it really just feels like, a moment also to reflect on how much there is to cherish and how, in a sense, there's a beautiful honor and responsibility in that. And so I wanted to share all of those complicated feelings through something that I know she would love the most, which is a song.
I'm sure that there is a whole songbook coming out of Mallory Chipman from just the memories that you have over the years. So, how do
Mm.
people find out more about you, about your music, gigs, tours, concerts, what you're up to? What's the website they can go to, streaming services, and of course, we'll repeat the socials.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, stay tuned via um, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. As you heard, it's at Paranormal Mallory on Instagram, and then at Mallory Chipman Music or Mallory Chipman pretty much everywhere else. My website is mallorychipmanmusic.com, and I am also on Patreon for more kind of behind the scenes content and exclusive sneak peeks and offerings like that. And I also have an email newsletter where you can sign up for that on my website. If you want sort of the first updates regarding new tunes and tours. And I have lots coming down the pike this year with releasing a new single every month, a new album coming out this year, and my own signature tenor guitar coming out in a couple of months here. So lots to have your ears tuned in for if you're interested. And I really do appreciate it.
Well, I get the feeling that there's going to be a lot of visits from Mallory Chipman on Spill the Tea Radio over the next year as all of this rolls out. We've been in conversation with Mallory Chipman. Mallory, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much.